The drama surrounding Mike Tyson and Donovan Ruddock was never confined to a single night, a single ring, or a single controversial stoppage. It was a collision shaped by timing, pride, and the unforgiving nature of heavyweight boxing, where reputations are forged not only by victory, but by how much punishment a man can endure before refusing to fall. Their second fight was not simply a rematch. It was an extension of a story that had already left scars, one that demanded resolution through 12 brutal rounds rather than a referee's intervention. By the early 1990s, Mike Tyson was still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, still the most feared puncher in boxing, and still a global figure whose presence alone could change the temperature of an arena. Yet for all his dominance, there were cracks beginning to show, or at least whispers of cracks. The knockouts were still spectacular, the intimidation still real, but critics had begun to question his consistency, his stamina, and his focus. Donovan Ruddock arrived at exactly the right moment to embody those doubts. Bigger, stronger, and armed with what many consider one of the most dangerous left hooks in the division, Ruddock had already proven in their first fight that he could survive Tyson's early onslaught and fight back. That first encounter ended in chaos, stopped controversy by the referee when Ruddock was hurt, but still standing, still swinging, still believing he'd turn the fight around. The decision ignited outrage. Ruddock felt robbed. Fans argued endlessly. Analysts replayed the footage, frame by frame, debating whether Tyson had been saved or whether the stoppage was justified. In boxing, controversy is fuel, and this one burned hot. A rematch was inevitable, and when it was finally announced, it carried an emotional weight that went far beyond titles and rankings. Las Vegas, the city of excess and risk, was a perfect setting. The arena buzzed long before fighters made their walk, filled with an audience that understood this wasn't just about seeing Tyson knock someone out. This was about seeing whether Ruddock could finish what he believed he had started, and whether Tyson could silence the doubts by doing something he rarely had to do: go the distance in a savage heavyweight war. When Tyson entered the ring, there was still that aura, that sense that danger followed him like a shadow. He looked compact, powerful, his body coiled as if every muscle was ready to explode. Ruddock followed, taller, broader, carrying himself with a grim confidence. He had nothing to lose. He had already tasted the worst Tyson could offer and survived. That knowledge alone made him dangerous. The referee called them together. The instructions were routine, but the moment was not. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions? Neither man spoke. They didn't need to. The bell rang, and the rematch began. From the opening seconds of round one, it was clear that Tyson intended to erase any doubt about who controlled this rivalry. He came forward immediately, slipping his head, rolling his shoulders, firing an overhand right that smashed into Ruddock's guard. He went to the body early, digging hooks into the ribs, trying to break the challenger down piece by piece. Ruddock backed up, more cautious than he had been in their first fight, circling away, trying to create space. It was a subtle but important difference. In their first meeting, Ruddock had met Tyson head-on early. This time, he seemed wary, perhaps too wary. The absence of Ruddock's jab was glaring. Against a fighter like Tyson, the jab is not optional. It is survival. Without it, Ruddock found himself reacting rather than dictating, covering up instead of setting traps. Tyson capitalized, slipping inside and landing sharp counters, including a left uppercut that snapped Ruddock's head back. Even when Ruddock tried to answer with hooks of his own, Tyson's shots looked cleaner, faster, more precise. Midway through the round, a solid right hand from Tyson visibly shook Ruddock. The challenger stayed upright, but his balance wavered just enough to send a ripple through the crowd. Tyson sensed it. He pressed harder, cutting off the ring, forcing Ruddock to the ropes. The bell ended the round, but the hostility spilled over, the fighters continuing after the sound, requiring the referee to step in. It was a warning sign. This fight was already threatening to spiral into something uncontrollable. Round two picked up exactly where the first had left off. Tyson stalked forward, loading up with the right hand, throwing with bad intentions. Ruddock landed a left that briefly caught Tyson's attention, a reminder that his power was real, but it didn't slow the champion. Tyson pinned him near the corner, smothering some of his own punches but keeping relentless pressure. There were moments when Ruddock could have unleashed combinations, moments when he had just enough room to let his hands go, but hesitation crept in again, and Tyson punished it. Then came the moment that shifted the fight. Tyson stepped in with a brutal overhand right that landed flush, dropping Ruddock to canvas. The impact echoed through the arena, the crowd erupting as the challenger hit the floor. It wasn't just a knockdown, it was a statement. Ruddock lay there briefly, then pushed himself up, rising at the count with determination etched across his face. He was hurt, but he was not beaten. Tyson wasted no time. He snapped a jab, followed with hooks and rights, trying to end it right there. Ruddock covered up, absorbing punishment. Fighting on instinct and toughness. The bell brought relief, but the damage had been done. Ruddock returned to his corner, knowing he was already behind, knowing that his margin for error had vanished. Round 3 marked a subtle shift. Ruddock, perhaps realizing that caution would only lead to another knockdown, began to assert himself. He threw harder punches, especially hooks to the body, and for the first time Tyson had to absorb sustained offense. Ruddock's shots thudded into Tyson's ribs, and a few clean punches snapped the champion's head back. The exchanges were fierce, the kind that make a crowd collectively hold its breath. Tyson answered every challenge. Even when Ruddock landed well, Tyson's counters came fast and sharp. A right hand here, a left hook there, each punch carrying the authority of a champion who refused to be pushed back. The round became a test of wills, both men standing their ground, trading power shots. It was becoming clear that this rematch would not end quickly. Round 4 brought another dramatic turning point. Ruddock lingered in range for just a moment too long, trying to trade power for power. Tyson exploded with a crushing shot that sent Ruddock down for the second time. The knockdown was heavy, and for a split second it looked as though the fight might be over. The referee began to count, and once again Ruddock rose, steadying himself, refusing to surrender. Tyson moved into finish, unleashing a barrage of punches. Ruddock was reeling, his defenses strained, when suddenly his mouthpiece flew out, forcing a stoppage. It was a bizarre moment, but a crucial one. The pause allowed Ruddock to recover, to breathe, to regain his bearings. Blood spattered the canvas as the mouthpiece was replaced, and when the action resumed, Ruddock fought on, battered but defiant. By the middle rounds, the fight had transformed into a war of attrition. Tyson continued to press, digging to the body, while Ruddock fought in bursts, landing punches that reminded everyone of his destructive power. Ruddock's face began to swell, cuts forming, his body absorbing relentless punishment. Tyson, too, was taking shots, more than he was used to, hooks to the ribs, rights to the head, moments where he had to grit his teeth and fight through pain. The 5th and 6th rounds were savage. Ruddock landed uppercuts and hooks that momentarily stunned Tyson, forcing him to reset. For brief moments, the crowd wondered whether Ruddock could turn the tide. Tyson responded with combinations, reasserting control, refusing to give ground. Low blows began to creep into the fight, particularly from Ruddock, whose frustration was growing. The referee issued warnings and deducted points, further complicating Ruddock's path. By round 7, the fight had already exceeded expectations. Ruddock continued to come forward, landing spirited combinations, refusing to back down. Tyson answered with heavy shots of his own, particularly to the body, targeting Ruddock's ribs. The punishment accumulated. Ruddock's movement slowed, but his resolve did not. As the fight entered the later rounds, it revealed something deeper about Tyson. Known for early destruction, he showed endurance, toughness, and a willingness to fight through adversity. Ruddock landed some of the cleanest shots Tyson had ever absorbed, yet the champion remained upright, firing back. This was no longer about speed or intimidation. It was about heart. Rounds 8 and 9 were marked by fatigue and ferocity. Ruddock landed left hands that earned Tyson's respect. Tyson countered with rights and hooks, methodically breaking Ruddock down. More low blows led to more deductions, each one pushing Ruddock closer to desperation. He needed a knockout, and he knew it. The championship rounds arrived with both men visibly exhausted. Few expected the fight to last this long. Tyson pressed forward, intent on leaving no doubt. Ruddock swung with desperation, knowing time was slipping away. In round 10, Ruddock landed a right that visibly stunned Tyson, drawing a roar from the crowd. For a moment, the unthinkable seemed possible. Tyson answered immediately, digging to the body, snapping Ruddock's head back with a counter right. Round 11 was pure survival. Ruddock's face was a mask of pain, his body battered. Tyson, marked and tired, continued to stalk, his focus unwavering. The referee issued more warnings, the tension thick with every exchange. Then came the 12th and final round. The two men met in the center of the ring and traded, neither willing to back down. Tyson absorbed a heavy shot and fired back. Ruddock threw everything he had left, swinging with reckless determination. When the final bell sounded, it was met with a mix of cheers and relief. Both fighters stood, chests heaving, having emptied themselves completely. The decision was unanimous. All three judges scored the fight for the winner, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Mighty Mike Tyson. It was a victory earned not just through power, but through resilience and endurance. Ruddock, in defeat, earned respect. He had pushed Tyson further than almost anyone else in his prime. This rematch did more than settle a controversy. It revealed dimensions of both fighters that might otherwise have remained hidden. Tyson proved he could endure a war. Ruddock proved he belonged at the very top of the heavyweight division. Together, they produce a fight that remains a testament to what heavyweight boxing can be at its most brutal and compelling. If you've stayed through this entire story, you've just relived one of the most punishing heavyweight battles ever staged. Do you think this fight showed a side of Mike Tyson that history often overlooks, or did it cement Donovan Ruddock as one of the toughest challengers Tyson ever faced? Share your thoughts, and if you enjoy long-form documentary-style storytelling like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more legendary boxing narratives. In the end, the rematch between Mike Tyson and Donovan Ruddock stands as far more than a unanimous decision written on a scorecard. It stands as a brutal resolution to a rivalry that demanded clarity through violence, not controversy. Tyson walked away with his titles and his hand raised, but what truly endured was a revelation of who he was when the knockout did not come easily. Across 12 exhausting rounds, he showed that beneath the explosive power and fearsome reputation was a fighter capable of enduring punishment, adapting under pressure, and refusing to yield even when tested in ways he rarely had been. For Ruddock, defeat did not erase his purpose. Instead, it redefined his legacy. He did what few men in Tyson's prime ever managed to do. He stood with him, traded with him, hurt him, and forced him to fight every second of the distance. The points lost, the low blows, and the missed opportunities mattered on paper, but in the larger story of heavyweight boxing, Ruddock emerged as a warrior whose courage and durability earned lasting respect. He proved that the first fight had not been a fluke, and that he belonged among the most dangerous heavyweights of his era. This fight closed a chapter defined by controversy, an open one defined by truth. There was no early stoppage, no lingering doubt about what might have happened. What remained was a raw, unforgiving battle that showcased the very essence of heavyweight boxing. Power balanced by heart, dominance challenged by defiance, and victory earned through survival as much as destruction. Tyson versus Ruddock 2 endures because it reminds us that greatness is not only measured by how quickly a fight ends, but by how a champion responds when it does not.